We don't raise capital. I'm on the phone, he's on the phone. All I'm
Can I just say, every now and then Hamdi threatens that if we ever become like a normal NGO, he's going to abandon us.
I'm not against it, but we have to be an entrepreneurial on this. How do we change a problem to an opportunity, to an exciting things? Refugees are never a problem. They move because of problem. But if you look at every single data, every single experiences, what you're going to find, because of the journey they have gone through, they are excited to be part of life again. And if that life starts in a company, that company becomes an exciting place. I promise you, I know it, and we have data to share it. So we are asking for Mexican companies to get together, make a coalition for refugees, for humanity, and for the future of business, and we are at your service. So humbly, we're so honored to be here, and thank you for having this society and all the business community.
Hamdi, before we open it up to questions, and I just want to note we've touched on the generosity of Mexican society, the role of Mexican businesses, but just also to really acknowledge the leadership of the Mexican government on this. The Mexican government has welcomed tens of thousands of refugees from Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, from as far afield as Afghanistan, Ukraine. They have shown incredible leadership, and last year they also committed to putting 20,000 refugees into private sector employment. So there really is an amazing opportunity in Mexico with the leadership of the Mexican government, the leadership of the business community, Tent and UNHCR, and a lot of refugees who are eager to restart their lives for us to jointly do something really special here. And with that, I think we open it up to questions if the time permits.
Thank you for this valuable space. I ask for another round of applause for Hamdi and Guido, please. Now, we will move to the Q&A session. We thank all of those who participated through the social network Twitter using the hashtag ImpactoAMSOC to send in their questions. The first question is as follows. For companies like Volaris, PwC, Church & Dwight, Azteca, and Shore Executive that want to explore how can they offer job opportunities to refugee workers, what's the next step? How do we get started?
I'm happy to take that. So we are literally at your service. My colleague Gerardo in the red tie over there spearheads our efforts in Mexico. And so really the first step is to reach out. Gerardo would walk you through, as a company, all the very particular steps involved, advice as to how to think about this. We really want to be transparent with companies that there are some modest investments, can't just be business as usual. We can talk you through how to tailor your recruitment efforts, how to tailor your existing HR processes. And then we'll talk a little bit about what areas of Mexico might be interesting. And then we will bring in an organization you've heard a lot about today, the UN Refugee Agency, and their experts to really work together to start the process of placing refugees into jobs. So, one of the things that I'll flag in survey after survey is that companies say it wasn't as hard as we thought it would be. It's not easy, but it's never as hard as you think it's going to be, and Tent and UNHCR are there to make it as easy as possible for you.
Thank you very much. We have a second question, also very interesting. What are some examples of public policies that allow or facilitate this relationship between the private sector and refugees?
So I think, in a way, the most critical policy preconditions for the work that we do is governments that allow refugees to move around the country and to work. And there are a lot of countries that don't allow that, and that is incredibly short-sighted. It's bad for refugees, it's bad for businesses, it's bad for the economy. The good news is that Mexico has a very progressive set of policies that allow refugees to move, allow them to relocate, allow them to work, allow them to start their own businesses. So those policies are in place in Mexico. But if we are going to go one step beyond as to what we would love to change in the Mexican policy environment, there are some, it is still the case that banks aren't always the easiest to work with when it comes to refugees and asylum seekers opening bank accounts, and that's definitely an area that we would love to work alongside the Judío, the Mexican government, to make it easier for refugees to open bank accounts. It's such a no-brainer as far as the economics of it go, but we would just need a bit of a nudge from the government.
Thank you very
So
much.
just adding to that is policymakers, has an enormous amount of responsibility here because we do not encourage companies to hire unless they have right to work, and is a law. And the second one is this area of taking advantage as a laborer, working more hours, less favorable, and human rights violations comes through these policies, availability or not availability. We've seen examples of that. And Mexico has done the right thing. They have allowed, with their policies, refugees to be part of legal work and movement. And I think this digital, like Gideon said, we cannot say it enough, this digital ID, bank accounts, is enormously important in refugees' life. Some of those areas that can be getting better, but I will tell you, Mexico is in a good place compared to a lot of places around the globe. It's in a very good place. We should be proud of that. And when it comes to leaning in for refugees to be part of society and business community.
Thank you very much. Now we proceed to the third and last question. How can startups help and support this cause from a business perspective?
Startups, if I speak to 100 founders of startups in Mexico, or in the US, or anywhere, 99% of them would want a refugee to be part of the first few. Because that's an innovation spirit, right? That's a solution finding spirit, right? If you're a refugee, if you're going to stay alive and move and make it, you have to find a way. And that is very, a startup mentality. So you found a way to survive, you found a way to make it happen. So we have this startup community, highly getting engaged, but at Tent, can't live. And people are startups, they don't need us. They find how to find refugees and hire them. As I can have a personal recommendation, stay with it like I did, and that is, amazing people to be part of this startup because it will be part of your culture that you became really big. But at Tent, we really focus on large businesses, and that makes a huge difference, right? So there are organizations that they are focusing on local small businesses, which is doing an enormous amount of work. We see that in the West, we see that here, we see that in Europe. We thought our time is best used if we engage with FEMSA, with Amazon, with Starbucks, make a big plan, maybe Mexico, maybe globally, and create some kind of, tent company and other NGOs type of, where we can lead in from our perspective. And when we have those grants, we have a second purpose, is through Starbucks, through Chobani, through Pfizer, through FEMSA, we make public awareness of public refugees. Not only what the issue is, but also they're just human beings like you and us, and they're welcome to our society, and they're welcome to our businesses. So the businesses have this kind of power. So if you want to add more to it.
Just to say one thing, which is, one of the things that we've really found is that to really harness refugees in the workforce, companies do need to make modest investments in changing some of their processes. And what we've seen is the more they hire refugees, the more those investments make sense. There are real economies of scale. So, once Amazon started hiring a few refugees, it rapidly went on its way to committing to hire 5,000 refugees. Once Spencer started hiring a few refugees, they're now at 1,200 refugees. In Germany, DHL has hired 20,000 refugees. There are real economies of scale, and once companies actually make those investments, it becomes cheaper and cheaper and easier to bring more refugees into the fold.
Thank you very much. We really express our gratitude to Hamdi and Gideon for their continued contributions to make this encounter even more enriching. We invite Larry Rubin, President of the American Society, Vivian Barnaby, Chair of Organization Steering Groups, and Ambassador Julieta Valls-Noyes, Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, to present an award to Hamdi Ulukaya and Gideon Miles as a token of appreciation for sharing this encounter. We invite the Secretary of Tourism, Miguel Torruco, to the stage to present a gift to Hamdi Ulukaya.
En nombre de la American Society, agradecemos a todos los asistentes por haber acompañado en este evento tan especial, que sin duda ha sido muy enriquecedor para todos nosotros.
Los invitamos a estar al tanto de futuros eventos y del próximo desayuno de Impacto AMSO.